Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya'lamu annama al-hayatud dunya la'ibun wa lahun wa zinatun wa tafakhurun baynakum wa takathurun fil amwali wal awlad. كمثل غيث أعجب الكفار نباته ثم يهيج فتراه مصفرا ثم يكون حطاما وفي الآخرة عذاب شديد ومغفرة من الله ورضوان وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. صدق الله العظيم. Dear respected brothers and sisters who are listening, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My young brothers especially, pay attention, inshallah. We're here to speak about Fortnite. Fortnite. Who plays Fortnite? Put your hands up. Sorry, put your hands up. Put your hands up and play Fortnite. It's all more like, my dad's here, I can't put my hand up. I'm not allowed. Who doesn't play Fortnite? Put your hands up. Okay. As in the kids, the children. Whichever children don't play Fortnite, any teenagers don't play Fortnite, you're here. 20-year-olds don't play Fortnite, put your hands up. There's only a few hands, which means most of you are playing. Now listen guys, when I was young, there was no Fortnite. Forget Fortnite, there was no PS4. You guys gonna say there's no life without PS4? Now some kids actually say that. What would life be without PS4? Yeah? PS4 is like on the Xbox One. PS4 and Xbox One is Xbox One and other things that play Fortnite, the iPads and the other things that play it on. It's like without that, without the PC, what would the life be like? When I was young, there was no even PS1. I'm making you sound like I'm really old, right? It wasn't very long ago. When I was young, the kind of games that were just coming out was the Amstrad games. Some of the people who are like 40 something years old, they're like smiling. Right? Amstrad, Commodore 64. Yeah? You had to load a game through something called a cassette. You guys don't even know what cassette is. If I showed you cassette, you probably wouldn't know how to play it because there's not even many cassette players around. So you had to put it in, wait for it to load. Each time you played a new game, you had to wait for 3-4 minutes for it to load. And then when the game came on, it was very bitty, very squarish kind of thing. If you made a couple of moves, that's it, the game was over, you had to start again. So you waited there with sabr for another 3-4 minutes for it to load again. There was also the Atari at that time in the 80s. And then came out the sort of, the console games that came out, I think in the early 90s, end of the 80s, early 90s. The early console games came back with 16-bit and 32-bit and so on, and it was getting better. But those days, I think it was a lot better in many ways because, we had to grow up very fast and we had to engage with a lot of adults. The problem I'm finding with these kids that are playing Fortnite, and yesterday it was the other game, Call of Duty, 10 years ago, right? 10, 12 years ago, the craze was Call of Duty. That was the game that every kid was hooked onto. Now Call of Duty is like an arcade, right? Now it's like Fortnite. Whoever's playing Fortnite is like you're in, right? They've got all these talks going on in the schools of who's on what level, who's got what skin, right? What skins they've got, how much V-Bucks you got, right? Yeah, how much V-Bucks you got, and what you got, what kind of guns you got, what special guns you got. Oh my God, that's the new thing. And what's made it more crazy is the online playing, because the internet has now given birth to this online playing that you have. Before, in my days, even in the 90s, you had no online play. Even in the noughties, you had no online play. There was no such concept. You either played in the same room with the people who were there, or you just played on your own with the computer, or just simply on your own. There was no such thing as online playing. Now this online playing has revolutionized the way games are played, because they go to school and they've played with these people in this kind of, place where they ran for miles and miles and miles. Yeah, you know how the game goes, right? These kids, they think, wow, they've done so much in a few minutes, right? And I'm thinking, one thing here is that they don't even know what life is. So what they do is, in this game, for those of you who probably don't know, is that they'll first come to the lobby area, waiting for the friends, tagging some friends to come in and start to play, right? So they come into the lobby area, you get your friends and you hook up, and you either get a squad, yeah? 4 people together, or duo, you go in as 2 people together, or you go single, yeah? On your own. Now, what then happens is you go to the battle bus. It's called the battle bus, right? The battle bus. This bus flying with a balloon, which is non-existent, by the way, okay? You don't have buses being lifted by a balloon, right? So anyway, you go in the battle bus, you say bye-bye to the driver, which is a computer, by the way, yeah? If you actually think that you've said goodbye and thank you to the bus driver, you've lost it, okay? So anyway, you say bye-bye, and then you fly down and you find a little spot that you want to get, okay? And it's going to be the unique most spot you can get, because there's going to be treasure boxes that you have to go down to and get yourself some ammunition, some bullets, and whatever. You start off with a pickaxe, right? So you've got to go there and you've got to find the treasure boxes and take it out. So then they get very excited. They've got this gun, they've got that gun, they've got this thing, they've got that thing, and then, it's all excitement. Because I want to shoot this one and kill this one. I want to do this to that one, do that to that one. And then they go out. Some of them die, by the way, by falling from the battle bus, right? Some of them die through a pickaxe, because someone killed them with a pickaxe, which is very shameful, by the way. And some of them will then start shooting because they've got guns. Now the idea of the game is to survive in this, to see if you can be the last man standing or the last team standing out of 100 people. Right? Now they've got many other versions of the game, right? You've got, all this type. I don't know, some zombies. One of the versions got some zombies. What's that one called? What's called? It's called, what is it? Sorry, Save the World. Oh my God, Save the World. Where they are, oh my God, how boring it is to save the world. It's boring enough to watch them land, get so excited, and get some, pick something up, and then get shot and dead back to the lobby. It's boring to watch that, right? But it's even more boring to watch Save the World. Boring, I'm telling you, it's really boring, because they're just there, killing a zombie, killing another zombie. And actually what you're doing is, you're not killing anyone, you're there. If you actually turn around from the screen and just look at you, yeah? You're not doing anything, you're just there going. That's all you're doing. Seriously, your body's not even moving. Your fingers are moving like crazy on the joystick pad, right? But if I don't look at the screen and I look at you, all you're doing is this. That's all you're doing. That's what you're doing for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever, how many hours you play, okay? And then they've got this other one now with the 4 safes that you have to open, and what's that one? Where one of them has to take the getaway. Oh my God. It's like they turn you to some kind of robber, right? You have to get safe and take this to the place. Anyway, now the point is this: when they are in these games here, the addictive nature of this is, and it is very addictive if you're in it. By the way, I don't play this. Some of you are like, nah, what are you talking about? You just described the whole game. No, I don't play it, okay? I've never played a single match. I've watched my son play it, but when he's played it, I've learned what goes on inside, and of course we have limited time. I want to get to that in a little while, but let me just talk about the game here. The thing is, the addictive nature of this game is the fact that whoever's playing the game is giving you so much stimuli, so much going on, because you're in this world where you choose where you want to land, okay? When you get there, there are certain houses and other things where you land and you then break roofs and whatever, whatnot, and get treasure boxes and so on. But it's the whole nature of you finding a world that you can relate to. Like you're actually moving in real time with all these other 99 players where you're running, you're focusing, you're hiding, you're ambushing, you're setting traps, and it's so exciting to be in this virtual world for hours and hours locked in to see what you can actually achieve and who you kill and so on, okay? The good thing on the side I'm going to say is I like the fact that there's no bloodshed or whatever. It's just simply when you kill someone, they just disappear from the game, yeah? But what's actually happening is the kids that are playing this, or I can say adults are also in this, okay? What's happening is as they're playing, the nature of all of these games is you're getting certain chemicals that get released in your brain. That's the real thing that's happening in the real world. What's happening on the screen is a virtual world. It doesn't exist. These kids get so excited. Oh, I've got a rare skin. I've got a rare skin. You're the same person I saw yesterday. You're the same person with the same skin I saw 5 years ago, okay? You're neither more white nor black, okay? You're the same person I saw, right? But they're talking about the skins on the actual game itself, the rare skins they've got, yeah? They get so excited with the V-Bucks, so excited. And you know, the other thing is some of them are spending a lot of money on this. Some of them are spending huge amounts of money on what? On nothing. Literally, it's jack. It's lights on a screen. If you as a family member are allowing your child to spend so much money on all of this and you know, buying this, buying that, they're buying nothing. They're literally wasting money. But anyway, let's get to the addictive nature. The addictive nature is that there are certain chemicals that are released in the head. When they kill someone, when they actually make an achievement, when they start to build, you know, there's another feature of it that they build their, you know, territories, whatever. When they're doing that, what happens is they're getting this huge buzz, the same chemical that is released after taking drugs, serotonin, dopamine, and so on. The same drug that is released in the head after having real drugs is the same chemical released in the head when winning in some of these games. It doesn't have to be Fortnite, it could be anything even on a pad and so on. When you're actually scoring and when you're making points and so on, when you're moving ahead, when it's like a victory for you, the same chemicals are getting released. Now they're not getting released in the same amount as real drugs, but they're getting released in small amounts. And this releases energy in the body and it gives a sense of happiness. The problem starts when they have to switch back to the real world. That's where the problem is. Now I'm going to tell you, all of you parents, if you've got, whether it's Fortnite or whether it's any other game that you've got virtual game in the house and you've allowed your kids to do that, you better have a timetable in your house. If your child, and I know there's a lot of children here sitting here, if your child starts to play for hours and hours and you're thinking, well, it's only an innocent game and that's all it is, they could ruin their lives through these games. When Call of Duty came out, I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago, Call of Duty came out. Do you know how many children messed up their GCSE exams? I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of children that messed up their education. GCSEs were messed up. They had to then retake the GCSEs. Some of them messed up their A-levels because of those games. Because when it gets to that addictive nature, they can't stop. And their world, their whole head is in these games. Then you've got a serious problem, because your obedience as a father or a mother comes into question. They don't want to obey you anymore. They will only obey you if you give them their games. And they don't want to listen to you if you don't give them their games. Now this is serious, because what's happening is your whole family structure has been affected. Now the kids are going to be thinking, no, let us play. Well, yeah, we want to let you play, but you've got to play within limits. Because your own life will be ruined. And when you grow up, you're going to blame the parents and say, why didn't you stop us from becoming addicted to these games? There are, some of you, I know this has been recorded and it's going to go out there, okay? There are parents who made a massive mistake in putting the TV or separate TV in the kids' bedroom. It's a huge mistake. It's an unforgivable mistake. You've got the TV downstairs in the living room or in a couple of living rooms. That's more than enough, okay? To move a whole TV or a monitor or something, okay, sometimes they have a monitor or whatever, you've got to be careful. Sometimes they have the computer or the laptop or the pad or whatever you've given them, okay? A huge mistake is to allow that in their bedroom. Why? Because then they can start playing nighttime. You think they're asleep. And there's several families who've suffered this, okay? Where the kid is supposed to be asleep and the kid gets up either at 11 o'clock not get up, but he just pretends to be asleep for a couple of hours or one hour or something. Soon as you've gone to bed and the kid knows that you've gone to bed, the kid comes out in his bed and he starts playing the game, and he's probably playing till 2 o'clock in the night. Now what that does is it messes the sleep up, it messes school up, it messes the concentration. Now this is the thing that you kids gotta wake up to this, yeah? If you're playing these games, first if you're playing these games for hours and hours, what's happening is there's an imprint that's made in your head. Your head is still living in Fortnite when you're not playing Fortnite. So there you are sitting at the dining table and you've got lamb curry and chops and whatever in front of you, but you don't see chops. You see guns on your plate. You don't see peas and beans. You see bullets on your plate. Your head can't think of the real world. You're trying to, as an adult, talk to your child like, how's your day, this and that. The only thing the child can talk about is, I did really well. What was good about it? Oh, I'm better than my friend at Fortnite. That's the only thing that your kid can talk about. And your kid, with all the other kids at school, that's all they want to talk about how many wins they got, who killed who, how. Look, it's all fun, it's all entertainment. But the thing is, what about your real life? Can you actually focus on studies and get a book, read it for 45 minutes and actually concentrate properly? Can you do that for 3 hours? Can you take breaks in between? Let's just say, for example, I give you 3 hours, I give you 3 breaks. You get 3 15-minute breaks in between. But I want you to study for 3 hours hard and look at a textbook and actually do some work. Can you focus that long, or has the Fortnite and other games made you sit there and all you do is you see light? You see yourself running. That's what you see yourself doing. I'm serious. This is what kids see. They got a book or they're in classroom and what they see is, man, I gotta get that gun. I've got a pickaxe. What am I gonna do with pickaxe? I'm gonna get a gun. What kind of gun? I'm gonna get the best gun. You don't even know what a gun is. Seriously, you don't know what a gun is. Name me name me a good rifle or a machine gun in Fortnite. One of you name me. What is it? Beginning with M. M something. A gun named M something in Fortnite. No, M something one. SNG, right? Is it SMG? Oh, easy, man. So somebody else tell me some gun named with M something. Not an M16, but M something else. Huh? No, all of you forgot. Yeah, you don't want to mention it. I took my family to Jerusalem, to Palestine, right? And over there you've got the soldiers that are standing, okay? The Israeli soldiers standing, and they've got real guns in their hands, okay? Now the soldiers are standing in certain checkpoints. As a Muslim, First is, okay, we want to go to Jerusalem, we're just there to see the holy side, okay? And we're going to come back. But if you dress like this, and dress like this, and you got a son next to you with a hat on his head, and he says, Dad, that's an M30 something. That's, he's looking at the Israeli soldiers' guns. That's an M something, yeah? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, be quiet. He goes, what's the matter? That's an M. Like, shut. Because the thing is, you don't even know what a gun is. You don't know what a real gun is. You're playing games. You don't know what politics is. You don't know what the real world is. Now, for those of you who are thinking, well, why do I tend to be quiet? It's because a Muslim boy talking, mentioning the name of a gun loudly in a political situation like Jerusalem could end up in serious trouble. Not because we're doing anything wrong. No, we're not doing it wrong. But the fact that the authorities might think that, why is he mentioning a gun? Why is he mentioning my gun thing? That means he's probably got something, right? You understand? Political situation could change. I mean, the adults will understand this. You kids haven't got a clue about what life is. Yet your heads are spinning with this game. Like, I'll give you a thing, right? To tell children, like, tell any of these guys, sleep on the floor. Sleep on the floor. And sleep for one night on the floor. Some of them is really hard to do that. Go and use a toilet that is not that clean, whatever. It's going to be very difficult for them to do that. In Fortnite, you play sometimes for so long, you don't even go to the toilet in Fortnite. Do you know these soldiers that are actually in the real world who have to go out there, they can't do the things that are in Fortnite. You can't do those things in Fortnite. You can't pickaxe, okay? You can't break loads of wood and have like loads of wood in your backpack and you can build straight away. You can't do that. You can't have bricks carrying bricks and carrying metal and you build when you want. You can't do that. And do you know how hard it is to, let me tell you one thing, right? You relate to me, the adults will relate to me. You go shopping with them and you have a bag of shopping and you give it to them. It's like, it's too heavy, You can't carry shopping bags and you think you're like carrying like 360 wood, 472 metal pieces and 200 bricks. You crazy? That doesn't happen. And the next thing is, when they're in these games, and all they're doing is, they're sniping, they're shooting. They don't understand what shooting really is. And in one sense, it's good, but in one sense, it really mashes them up because what is happening is these children, some of them, unfortunately, will take killing very lightly. Some of them. And some of them, even if they don't take killing lightly, what will happen is they will feel that this is a world to really enjoy. When, let's be honest with you, how many people play Call of Duty today? Go, put your hands up. Who plays Call of Duty regularly? Put your hands up. There's about 3, 4, or 5. Okay, fine. Out of the Fortnite players were about a good 20, 25, 30 people here, right? And there's only about 4 people playing Call of Duty, right? Do you realize that Fortnite in 10 years' time is going to be played by only a few people? There's going to be another game out, another addictive game out, and people are going to move on. And do you realize that those people who were playing Call of Duty 10 years ago, they're not playing today, but you know one thing? Is that Call of Duty is going to become an arcade game in a few more years' time. And those people who played Call of Duty or who are playing Fortnite today, they don't understand the real world through these games. Real world is real communication with real human beings. You know the generation today that's growing up is very unfortunate. They don't even have the skills to be able to text one another properly. Their texting skills have got abbreviations. When they say you, they put the letter U. Instead of saying Y-O-U, they put the letter U. When they're saying you're, they put you are. Okay, fine, it's the little language that's going between them. But you know what they do in these text messages that they send with each other to each other? They edit them several times before they send a text message, which means that they don't have the real communication skills that you need in real time. What you need, guys, is when you come out of Fortnite world and when you come to the real world, when you grow up, you need to be able to be in a situation you can communicate with human beings in real time without making mistakes, by knowing what to actually say. Most children are not equipped with that. You know, I told you about the shopping bags. Forget that. In Fortnite, they can build all these little, monstrous kind of, monuments that they save and protect themselves in. In the real world, they can't even build a tent. They can't build a tent. In Fortnite, they will be able to run and run and run for miles and miles. In the real life, they can't get off the sofa. They can't get off the sofa. In Fortnite, they will be able to, team up, and they can talk via their microphone to other friends, and they can say, hey, do this, duck here, this and that, which is teamwork, I understand. But in real life, can 4 boys or 4 girls actually do something real together for the real world? That's to be seen yet. Very little of it that is there. My point is this: these kids need limited amount of time on these games, and these kids, if they get too much of this, they will ruin their lives. They will ruin their education. They will ruin their thought process. In fact, when their mind is occupied in a lot of these computer these games and the screen, real thinking doesn't happen. Like, there's a difference in real thinking and in virtual thinking. So for example, let's just talk about this building here. You know, this building here, for someone to design this building in a very good way, for someone to actually do that, it requires real good thinking. It's not your virtual world where you build, a Fortnite, a monument, whatever. Now, the further thing above that is, when you as parents want to tell them to stop playing, do they stop straight away, yes or no? They don't, because they say, I'm in the middle of a game. Yes or no? I'm in the middle of a game. Now, you give them time to finish that game, they start a new game if you're not looking. If you're not looking, they quickly go back to the lobby, come back in again, they're starting another game. The point is, where's your obedience? As parents, you want them to listen to you. You said to them, play for 2 hours, and it comes to the end of 2 hours, and they feel like they've only played for 20 minutes, because when you're having fun, time goes really fast. But literal 2 hours have gone. Now, there's a big problem for parents to get them to stop, and when the parents make them stop, what do the kids do at home? Go on, let me hear this now. When your kids have stopped playing Fortnite at home, what do they do? After Fortnite's finished, you say switch the Xbox One or switch the PS4 off. What do your kids do? They either become zombies, they don't know what to do. They just don't know what to do. They're bored out their heads. Can any other parent tell me what else they do? They get moody, yes! Thank you. You know why they get bored? They get bored because that was so exciting. Now the real world is boring. And they get moody because they had so many chemicals released in their heads and made them exciting for those moments, because each time they killed someone, they moved their duck, they got away with something, I killed him and I only had 7 life and whatever, and then I'm going to drink this and I get more life again, 50% life, and boom, 75% life. That doesn't happen in real life, by the way, yeah? They're getting all these chemicals released in their head, and they come out of the game and it's like, water is boring. It is, water is boring. I want Coca-Cola. I want Pepsi. I want this drink, that drink. You know, when you make life like that, where they find normal things boring, then you've got a real situation here. Can any other parent tell me what else they do when they come to the games? Right, thank you. If they get hold of YouTube, then instead of playing on it, they want to watch other people play. Oh my God. Now it becomes another thing, is like YouTubers, all right? And this guy's got this many followers, that many followers. It's like, yeah, that guy, he's the guy to follow. And that guy who's a YouTuber, who's getting so many likes, do you know him? Oh my God, I feel sorry for him. Have you seen the size of his belly? I'm not cussing all of them out there, I'm just cussing the size of his belly. You know why? He's sitting there on that chair with the PC and a mouse, and he's playing like that. He's sitting there for hours and hours and drinking and eating burgers and just playing. He's just about got time to go to the toilet. And he's unhealthy. He's very unhealthy. He might have loads of followers. He might be making a few bucks and money, but that's not what life is about. And talking about toilets, man, I tell you one thing here. If you ever want to see how long kids can stay without the toilet, then watch them when they play. They go to the toilet last minute. It's like last minute, right? Go there, quickly do the business, come back out, back on the game again. You know what you just did there? You just damaged your bladder. Because what you're doing is when you delay going to the toilet, your body automatically tells you to go more frequently to the toilet. If you have this much in your bladder to release and you went really late, the next time the bladder will tell you to go to the toilet when you've only got that much inside. It's an automatic system inside us. So you go to the toilet more and more. If you carry on delaying it, you're going to get urine infection. And there's stories coming out in the newspapers that some kids, na'udhu billah, are doing it there and there on the seat. They're just releasing it on the seat while he's sitting on his seat in his living room. Yeah, he's held this so long, he's in the middle of the game. I can't get out. I'll just use this seat as a toilet. Na'udhu billah. His mum has to come and clean it up. I don't know why the mum cleans it up. I would have made him clean it up. There are real stories coming out with that. But anyway, my point is that what do the kids do? Well, if you give them YouTube, they want to now look at other people playing. It's still, the mind is still occupied there. I have to tell you one thing, parents, here, is that seriously limit the time. You should not be giving your phone to your child to play at all. You don't need to do that. You know, some parents think that if I don't give the phone to this child's going to be bored. Boring is a very good thing. Being bored is a very good thing. If you can hack being bored, it means that you've got sabr. You've got patience. If you've got patience in life, you will get very far in life. Patience is something you need a lot. So if your kids are bored at home, it's good. Let them find something to do. And what the other brother said, moody. They get moody and sometimes they fight amongst themselves because they've been playing these fighting games. They come off and they want to fight each other. They take out that. They've got so much energy inside them, they start fighting one another, right? And then what the other brother said is that they go into other things. If you haven't got other devices open to them, they shouldn't be able to go to those other devices. Now, anybody else tell me what else they do after they come off these games? Anybody else tell me what they do when they come off these games? Anybody else? Come on. Some of them don't blink when they're playing games, right? They have some of the, the eyes. There's another thing, amongst the players of these games, there's more people wearing glasses because they actually ruin their vision. Some of them playing too close to the screen. Some of them, they've got pains in their necks, in their hands, in their wrists, in the body parts, right? And they don't know why they got these pains. And a lot of the times it's because the way they're sitting and they're playing these games. Anyway, now tell me this, right? When you children grow up, will you be playing Fortnite all your life? No. Will you be playing PS4 and PS5 and PS6 when it comes out, and PS7 or whatever in your lifetime, or Xbox, whatever it is that comes out in your lifetime? Will you be playing that in your life for the rest of your life? No. What will you be doing? Well, as soon as you get to a certain age, responsibility is going to be put onto you. And you're going to have to become adults in a real life. Not only that, but your whole life on this earth was not about games. the whole life on this earth was for you to concentrate on your akhirah. Our Prophet ﷺ has told us that we have been, he has told us that dunya is something that is a place for cultivation. The dunya has been created for us, the world has been created for us, and we have been created for the akhirah, for the next world. The time element of how much you're spending on these games is going to be a serious question when you grow up. Because when you grow up, my friends, you're going to look back and you're going to wish that you studied more and you wish that you invested better for this world and the next world. And this is a massive part of your life which you're going to regret. So parents, when they put restrictions on your gaming time, when they say you can only play this much, they're doing a massive favor for you. They're not being horrible to you. You think that they're being horrible to you. They're not being horrible to you. They're actually doing a massive favor for you. Because if they get you to do something good in that time, and if they get you to actually study and do something for your future life or for this life on this earth, you're going to be very, very happy. In fact, these kids don't even understand how money is made. They think just become a YouTuber and you can make money. They think that you can get a following and you just take money. You can make money. But they don't even understand politics. So for example, one of the big things that has come in recent times is about cyberbullying, right? Cyberbullying. So through these games, online games, through the interactions they have with one another, through their WhatsApps and so on, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, they start communicating with one another, and on these social media groups, they will have, banter going on. They will have cussing, and they will have teasing and making mockery of one another going on. And what they don't understand is how to deal with this. Welcome to the real life. A lot of these kids, when they get into that, they don't know the adabs, they don't know the etiquettes of how to communicate in the first place. And when you're getting attacked by someone, how to respond. Do you know what life is about? Life is more about knowing how to behave and how to act in a situation where you've got pressure. That's what life is about. Life is not about removing every pressure out of your way and just having happiness and comfort and games and social time. That's not what life is. You ask any human being that's grown up, because you're all heading for it. Whether you're 7-year-old sitting here, 17-year-old sitting here, 14, 15, whatever your age is sitting here, you're going to have to go through life with all the pressures it comes with. And you know what some people say? Some people say that life is all about happiness, and life is acquiring happiness, and that's it. Life is about comfort. Life is about getting loads of money. Life is about acquiring loads of money, you make loads of comfort, and you sit down and you have a very good time for the rest of your life. That's not what life is. Life is, the best part of life is, as a human being, is to be prepared for your entire life of knowing how to react to every situation that comes about, and to still be a person who is content, a person who is happy with all the pressures that come on. Your akhlaq, your good character still carries on. That's what life is about. Tell me this here, these kids get bullied on WhatsApp. You know what they do? They start copying, pasting to one another. Oh, he said this, she said this, he said this, she said this. You know what they do? They run into further trouble. Because when you copy paste on social media and on WhatsApp and whatever it is, and you show other people what messages you got sent, those people can also copy paste as well. Soon they find themselves as a victim of bullying. They find themselves as a victim of bullying. Even the people who play Fortnite, some of them are not good at playing Fortnite. Let's admit it. Some of them are not good at playing Fortnite. So they play other games. When they go to school, there's bullying going on. Oh, he's not even on the charts for Fortnite. He doesn't even play Fortnite. Oh, he got killed with a pickaxe in Fortnite. He got killed with a pickaxe in Fortnite. He can't aim in Fortnite. There's going to be bullying going on now. The thing is, how do these kids prepare themselves for real life? for real communication. If they cannot take bullying, or I'm saying, when I say take, what I mean by this is, if they cannot take the pressure of what this whole world brings them at the age of 13, 14, 15, what are they going to do with life when they're 24, 25, 26 and they're married and they've got pressure coming, or they've got children and pressure is coming, or they've got friends that get into serious trouble in life and they've got pressure coming? What are they going to do then? And you know, many of us parents, another thing I have to say to you is that, I'm going to tell you this straight here, don't make life for your child too comfortable. And you kids, you're going to be very happy I said this. You might be thinking right now, why is he coming to our masjid and telling our parents not to be too kind to us? Whenever you're too kind to children, whenever you are too loving to anyone, and you go past the mark of being balanced, you will spoil them, and you will suffer, or they will suffer, or both of you will suffer. As parents, you will suffer. And I'm telling you from hundreds and hundreds of cases out there. In modern psychology, let me tell you this, okay, for you to note down. In modern psychology, there is a clear, there's a clear study that has been conducted. If your child asks you for something that is extra from the necessities that they have in life, okay? Let's say your child asks you that they want something that is extra, you know, like these games, they're extra beyond their necessities. Their necessities were clothing, food, education, and so on and so forth, okay? Having a shelter, these are the necessities. When you go beyond their necessities and you give them extra things when they ask for it, every time the child asks you for something and you give it, 8 out of 10 times you say yes to them, 2 out of 10 times you say no to them for the extra things they ask you in life. Your children will grow up to become unappreciative of the things they have in life. They will have a lack of patience in their life, and they will actually be unhappy. This is from real psychological studies. But if you as parents, when your children ask you for the extra things in life, 2 out of 10 times you say yes, 8 out of 10 times you say no to them, your children will grow up as patient people, as happy people, and as people who appreciate what they have. You know why? Because when they're young and they're growing up right now, and every time they demand something, 80% of the time you said yes. Oh my, you want that? Okay, I'll get it for you. Oh, you want that? Oh, better. No problem. Bismillah. I'll buy for you. No problem. I'll buy for you, right? You give him, you give him, you give him. You know what they think? They think this is life. You get things really easily. Then they don't appreciate things. Next thing is, because they're getting it so abundantly, they actually think that, you know what? If I want it, I get it. So what? Their impatience goes up. Their patience goes down. And when life hits them at a certain age, when they can't get things so easily, when they have to work for themselves to get things, when they have to pay for their own bills and they know what it is, you know what? They grow up to be miserable people. They grow up, they've got a very short span of sabr, of patience, and they snap at things. They snap at people. They can't take it because they haven't got sabr inside them. All their life they've been spoiled by getting things frequently, and now they can't get what they want. I'm telling you this why? Because there's a whole generation of people now, yesterday's children who got things very easy and who got a lot of comforts in their lives, don't know how to live a married life. They're not prepared for it. For small arguments, they want to break the whole marriage. They want divorce. For small things, they want to treat their children like rubbish from a dustbin. For small things. The patience is needed to actually mold other human beings and do their tarbiyah as well. And actually make them be molded in a good Islamic character. You need a lot of patience for this, a lot of patience. These kids are not prepared for it. Why? Because we spoiled them. I'm asking you parents not to spoil your kids. Don't spoil your kids. If you've given your child a pad, or you've given them a device, an Android device, whatever it is, where they're playing games on a pad, or you've given them a phone, a smartphone, please make sure that you've got the passcode to that. Please make sure they're not going on the internet whenever they want. In fact, my child right now, my oldest child, a son, is 14 years old. He has never had a smartphone ever. We've only given him a very deep, very simple phone. He can only make calls with that. He can't browse the internet or anything with that. And all his friends have got smartphones. And I say Alhamdulillah. Why? Because Alhamdulillah, my child has not got any access to fitna, to haram on the internet at a touch of a button. There are kids who are doing things behind their fathers' backs, mothers' backs, and the fathers and mothers they can't even access these phones. I'm surprised. The stats, you know what the stats are? I've done this up and down the country. I've done this in other countries as well. The amount of parents that give devices to their children and don't have any access to the passcode or the password is 75% almost. 75% to 80%. The amount of parents who keep access to those phones or devices is only 20%. That means 75% to 80% of these children can browse through haram, can get into haram, can spoil their iman, can spoil their future life. This life in this world they'll spoil their future life, and no one was there to rescue them. We're not saying as parents that we want to spy on you, no. We're saying we want to protect you for your own good. And we want to guide you so that when you're old enough to guide yourself, you can then have your own password and your passcode to yourself. Why are these kids given smartphones with their own personal passcodes on there when no adult has access to that? You know what you've done? You've just given your child away. You've bartered their iman from you. They could end up doing anything. They could end up doing anything. Now, even if you've said, okay, I'm not going to give my smartphone, whatever it is, passcode to that, have you limited the time that they are playing whatever games it is in your house? Have you limited that? Because I'll tell you one thing straight up, whatever rule you have in your house, you can have one rule and your children will be happy with that after a while. I'll tell you what the typical child does when they come home. Typical child, when they come home, straight away they switch the TV on, or they'll switch some games on. And as soon as they come home, mom's making the rotis, okay, dad's out, mom's making some food, or warming some food up, okay. The typical child is getting half an hour, whatever it is, at home on the pad or on the TV before they've even gone to the masjid, to the mosque. You know, normal people who come to the mosque, right, who come to the masjid at the evenings, you might give your child a little bit of time to play. You know what you've done? You've now stimulated their brains with all of these activities in their heads. They're not going to be concentrated when they come to the masjid. Even if you haven't given that time, a typical child will go to the masjid and spend his couple of hours, come home, and they'll start playing, or they'll do a bit of homework, they want to play. If you allow your child to play in the evenings again, when they close their eyes at night, I can guarantee you they're going to see themselves in those games. They're going to see themselves in their games. Children have got a lack of sleep because of these games. They can't wake up for Fajr. What's fard? Tell me, what's fard? What's fard? School before Fajr or Fajr before school? What's fard? What's obligatory? And Allah has said you better turn up with this on the day of judgment. What's fard in the morning? Tell me one. Fajr, right? Guys, you guys pray Fajr or you don't? You ask a question, what's fard? Give me an answer in the morning. What salah is fard in the morning? Fajr. How important is it? Tell me. How important? Out of 1 to 10, 10 being the most important, 1 being the least important, what number would he give it? 10, right? Where are most of our kids that play these games in the morning, who are teenagers, who are baligh, who've turned to adulthood, who are now responsible for the akhirah, who are teenagers? Where are they for Fajr early in the morning? Tell me. Where are they? in bed. Where are they? In bed. They're snoring, all right? And they're letting other stuff out as well early in the morning. Like as in they're busy in bed in dreamland. These kids, to get them awake for Fajr is a real mission. And that is the most important part of their day early in the morning. They should have started with Fajr. So one thing in your household is you should have early sleep. Early sleep. Kids as well as adults should also go to sleep. After Isha should be sleep. The other thing is, most houses, they eat really late. Most, especially these Asian houses, they eat late. They eat at 9, 10 o'clock. They eat heavy meals at 9, 10 o'clock. If you have a heavy meal at 9, 10 o'clock, it's going to tax on your waking up in the morning. Try and eat about 6, 7 o'clock and let that be your last meal, if you can do that. 6, 7 o'clock, by 7 o'clock you've had your last meal. You don't need to eat any more after that, especially in cold countries like this. You don't need to eat anymore, okay? There doesn't have to be any games Monday to Friday. Just have maktab, or if they go to masjid, or homework, or tuition, whatever it is. And if they've got spare time, give them other games in the house to play with. Real board games. Give them ball games. Give them other games. Let them actually play football. Even if they want to play football, you know what? Football and other games, though I'm not a fan of football, okay, of kids playing because they have so many injuries in football. But these games, real games, are far better than sitting down and just playing these games, because it's not even giving them any exercise for their bodies. Now, when it comes to the weekends, have your timetable of whatever tuitions and other things, family time, shopping time, whatever you want them to do, let them do it, and then comes in between somewhere limited time on these devices. These kids need to know regularly they need to clean their houses. They need to do their beds. They need to tidy their clothes. They need to keep their rooms tidy. They need to make sure that they actually get out of bed, right? Wash their face, brush their teeth, done their prayers and so on. It needs to be a regular thing. They do Quran every single day. That needs to be in their system. And if you think, oh my God, I can't make my child do that. No. He's not going to accept it. He's not going to do it. That's because of you. If you make a routine in your house that the kids have to do this, they'll do it. If you make a routine in your house that this is the timetable from Monday to Friday, we don't have any electronic games at all. The only time you go onto the Wi-Fi or internet is because you've got homework. Otherwise, you don't go onto it at all. You know what? Your kids will accept it. Your kids will accept it. And the limited time you give them on games, you give them that limited time, and then after that, what you do is have the rest of the time for other things that you need them to do. Like I said to you, ironing their clothes. Why aren't these kids ironing their clothes? Why aren't they making their own breakfast? Why don't they know how to make, how to cook? Why not? At a certain age, they need to know how to cook. Why aren't these kids regularly vacuum cleaning the house? Why not? Boys and girls, why not? If you make a system in your house where they have to do it, they'll do it. Otherwise, you as a parent, at the age of 17, your kid is 17, he comes to the table like, You as a parent will be getting the food on the plate, warming it for him in the microwave, making sure it's the right temperature, coochie baby, and then taking it out and put it in front of him, and then when he looks at it, he says, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. I don't like that. I don't eat any vegetables. Stuff the vegetables in him from an early age. Like vegetables, fruits, okay? These are your life. You need vegetables, you need fruits for your life. If you make the kids eat vegetable fruit from a young age, alhamdulillah, they love it for life. If you don't give it to them, if you say, oh, you don't want to eat that, I'll give you something else. Oh, you don't want to eat that? No problem. No problem, kiddo. No problem. You're creating a monster. And then parents come to imams, okay, and guess what they say to us? The parents come to us when it's too late. I've had several people come to me like this. Just the other day, just recently I had someone come to me. This weekend, somebody came to me and said what? They said, my child plays on these these games too much. I can't stop him. What can I do? How many hours does he play? Oh, he plays 5 to 6 hours a day. 5 to 6 or 4 to 5 hours a day, right? And the parent has no ability to stop him playing. So what do they want us to do? Give a tawiz? Like, blow and make everything go okay. Take the jinn out of him. There's no jinn in it. The only jinn is the jinn that you put in it. All these hours that he played, all this time, all these years that he got addicted, you never stopped him, you gave him more and more, you spoiled him, you wanted this game, you gave this game, you wanted more time, you gave him more time, and slowly they get so addicted. You know what? They become your parents. They tell you what to do. You don't want to admit this. They tell you what to do. They tell you when they're going to eat. They tell you when they're hungry. They tell you when they're not hungry. They tell you when they're going to come off that game, and they tell you when they're going to play the game. And if you don't give little Sonny his game, he's not going to do your homework. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. If you don't give your little Sonny that game again, he's going to go to school and he's going to fail his exams just to prove to you who is daddy. Is it you or him? You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, 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 nah. That's when your children have taken over your lives. You have to buy the clothes they want, their designer clothes in the stores. Their demands have to be met. Doesn't matter what your salary is, you got to make sure you buy that gear for them. Because if you don't buy the gear for them, they're going to throw all these tantrums. They're going to make your life miserable. They're not going to do their stuff they're supposed to do. They're going to become like spoiled children. And just to make them listen to you, you give the next thing. And they're happy. Oh, thank you, mommy. Thank you, daddy. Happy for 2 days. Happy for 3 days. 3 days. Son, I'm going to give you this game, but Papa is saying to you, will you do all your salahs? Oh yes, yes, yes. Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, all complete, no problem. For 3 days, they'll do the salah. After that, 4th day, 5th day, back to normal again, back to normal again. The way to do the tarbiyah and the way to actually make them get the mold is you stay in control. And all you children listen to me, you might be saying, well, you know what? From today onwards, you know what, our life has become a little bit more, bad days from the good old days we had. We could play for 4 or 5 hours or whatever, right? I'm telling you, I have rescued your life. One day you're going to thank me. One day you're going to thank me. I've been a school teacher for a long time, right? Madrasa, okay, I teach in the maktabs and so on, but in a school also I've taught. I taught once in a school for 3 years. In that school, I was working full time. I had to discipline certain kids, okay? I had to discipline certain, even in my maktab teaching as a teacher, I've had to discipline certain kids. In that school, I've had to even suspend certain children. This was an all-boys school in North London, Yusuf Islam School, if you know that, in Northwest London. It's very prestigious, very good school. And there I was the head imam, head of Arabic, and I had to discipline these children. And you know, when you discipline children, children don't like you. When you put them in their place, when you make them work hard, when you make them do what they're supposed to do, with, being a good person to them, they don't see the goodness inside you. But you know what? I've got tens and tens of cards sent to me after they graduated. They've sent me cards after cards thanking me as one of the best teachers. You know why? They said, sir, if you wasn't there, if you never did that, if you never disciplined me, if you never suspended me, or if you never actually made me do that thing and put me in my place, then I wouldn't have been the person I am today. Now, I wasn't horrible to them. I was just being myself, making sure that you have I'm caring for your future. If I don't care for your future, I will give you 5 hours today of these games. I'm going to mess your life up. If I give you 4 or 5 hours a day of these games, or 3 or 4 hours a day of these games, I'm going to mess your life up. If I care for you, I'm not going to give you that many hours. And you got to understand, I'm actually caring for you. I care for you. I love you as a son, as a nephew, as whoever you are, my student. I love you by giving you these rules, because one day you're going to look back and you're going to actually thank me and thank the people who put these rules in your life, who restricted you, who made you work, who made you see real life, who made you do the things that you need for your real life. And I've got so many cards that have been sent to me after the time they spent with me. After a few years, they send me cards. Some of them on the day they graduated, or the day they finished school, they send me cards. And they thank me from the bottom of their hearts. Why? Because people need this. And my students, alhamdulillah, most of them, when they're in contact with me, alhamdulillah, they're actually happy because, they're children. But when you grow up one day, you're going to be very, very happy with what the results were. Right now, I have to tell you, I had a strict father. I had a strict father. I know today, some of my biggest du'as go to my father. At that time, I never understood. And okay, fine, my father might have had his own deficiencies. Okay, he had his own lack of whatever it was. At that time, I couldn't understand. But today, some of my biggest du'as are for my father, because if it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't be who I am today. Right? And you got to understand, kids, that when you grow up with the discipline you've got, you will understand that you will be better people. Better people. I remember my mother, when I was young, I was like 7 or 8 years old. My mother used to grab me and sit me down and teach me Bangla. Right? Now I'm a British kid. I was born in England. Like most of you here, sitting here. Born in England. And I'm thinking, why am I learning this language for? And she used to say, no. She used to say, son, sit with me. Rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on her soul. She's passed away now. Son, sit with me, learn this. One day you'll understand the value of this. Today, I regularly go to Bangladesh and come. And I'm well versed with all those people over there. I can read Bangla, I can write Bangla. And what was that? Because of my mother making me sit down at a young age and made me learn. And I took the lessons from her, and I hated it that time, but I know the value of it today. And these things that we learn in life that we hated when we were young, when you're older, you see the value of what your elders have taught you. And don't put your parents down or others down, because they're spoiling everything for you. They're not letting you play. They don't want, no. We want you to play, but you better play in restricted and you better play in limited times. Otherwise, you will spoil yourself. Okay, I'm going to round it off now by asking anyone's got any questions, because I know your salah time is drawing very near. Anyone's got any questions? Any questions? Imam Sahib, even if you want to prompt something that I might have not said, anybody else want to add anything or something that I might have or should have said, whatever you wanted to hear? What's the question, sir? How long does my son play? He's got very limited time, I tell you that. He's got very limited time. They've got about a couple of hours, 3 hours maximum. Even then on the weekend, they don't play Monday to Friday. And outside of that, they've got a lot of studying to do throughout the day. A lot of studying they do. I'm not talking about hours and hours of studies. Right? So it's a whole combination of a timetable we've given, where they've got a lot more studies than the playing time, and they balance it between the two. For a week, it depends on your parents. I'm not going to give you no hours. That depends. No, that what would depend. Is a good question. If I told you how many cups would it take to fill up a whole pool? Imagine this was a swimming pool, this hole. Yeah. How many cups? How many glasses would it take to fill up this swimming pool here? How many would you say? How many? What's your answer? 5,000. Yeah. That's a wrong answer. That's a wrong answer. Any kid give me the right answer? Any kid give me the right answer? Any kid give me the right answer? No? 20,000 say. That's the wrong answer. Any kid give me, what is it? Oh, subhanallah ji. You got a genius amongst yourself. I like that. This kid is good. Do you play Fortnite? He doesn't. My point proven. He's the genius amongst us. Right? It depends on the size of the cup. If your cup, imagine you had a cup that is half the size of this hole. You only need 2 cups to fill it up. If it was size of this hole, you only need 1 cup. If it's quarter of this hole, you need 4 cups. Right? Depends on the size of the cup. Right? So when you ask me the question, how much do we need to play in a week? It depends on what your parents say. Your parents could say to you that they don't want to have a TV in your house. That's their prerogative. That's fine. If your parents say they don't want to have any PS4s or any Xbox in the house, alhamdulillah, that's fine. That's their problem. That's fine. You get 0 hours. If your parents say that they're going to have you home, but they're going to give you 2 hours a week, that's up to them. Fine, 3 hours a week, whatever it is, that's up to them. If another parent says they want to give you 6 hours a week, that's up to them. What I'm trying to say is that balance everything else, teach children skills of life, make sure that the gaming is not taking over their life, make sure there's no addiction, make sure that they're actually prepared for the future of their life, make sure they're not spoiling any of their exams, their studies, the future of what they could become, they're not spoiling any of that. As long as the parents balance all of that, they can choose what limited time they want to give to the children. And every house will differ. So this is another argument that starts. It's like, oh, my cousins are playing this many hours, why can't I play this many hours? Subhanallah. Well, your cousins don't have as much pocket money as you get pocket money. So why don't everything become equal? No, you don't look at it one way, you don't look at it two ways, you've got to look at it one way. Any cousin's house, any relative's house, any other house that does whatever is their house, that's their rules. My house does not have to be matched according to another cousin's house, another relative's house, and don't fall for that trap that you're going to have to match it with whatever else somebody else is doing. No, you don't have to. If you don't even want to have a TV in your house, that's completely fine. That's your thing. That make sure you manage it, however you manage it. That's up to you. But as parents, you have your rules, you explain. And the other thing I want to tell you is this, before we finish. It's really important. You've got to explain to your children why these things are there. Like today's talk I did, I explained a lot of things to you, for both parents and for both children. If you don't give explanations, humans sometimes feel that you're being very harsh. The fact that I never gave my child a smartphone, I've sat with him several times. I've explained to him why a smartphone is not good for him. I've explained what kind of things we're going to be on the smartphone, how easily he's going to get hooked onto social media, how he's going to waste his time on it. And guess what? A couple of years later, the school sent a letter to all the parents telling them to get their children off WhatsApp. And I was like, Alhamdulillah, my child doesn't even have WhatsApp. Because these kids will get talking to each other, and then they start to talk, waste time, bully with one another, share videos and share images. They're just wasting their time, and then it affects their homework time. It affects their time at school. It affects their concentration. It affects their relationship at school as well. So the point is that if you explain to the children why you're restricting them, why they must have this many hours only, then alhamdulillah, you know what, there's a good communication between parents and children. They understand, they will accept it, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Now that's up to you how you manage it, inshallah. Anything else, Imam Sahib? Yes. Yes.
The youngster that asked the question, you see there's more youngsters than parents here.
Yes.
So from this bayan, I think a lot of youngsters have realized actually they may be spending too much time.
Okay.
And a lot of parents, I think there's no living in the houses.
Okay.
So, as a child asking the question, how much time should I be actually on it if my parents are not even stopping me?
Okay.
On that line,
Okay. So if there's a child at home and your parents are like, PS4 is your life. Basically, you can do what you like. And Xbox One is your life, and play as long as you like. And if you really, as a young person here, are thinking, well, how long should I be on it? Well, I'll be honest with you. The mark is that could you leave your PS4, your Xbox, whenever you wanted? Could you actually stop playing that and leave it aside for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days, without having the urge to play it? If yes, then you're not addicted. If no, then you're addicted. Most kids, without knowing it, are addicted to these devices. If you cannot leave some of these, like for example, for adults as well, I'm going to say, if you can't leave your smartphone for a week without having to touch into any social media, any of the apps, you can't leave it for a week or 10 days, you're addicted. Even as an adult, you're addicted. One of the best times of the year for me is i'tikaf. For 10 days, leave it and feel happy that you left it. Sometimes I go abroad, I don't have any download sort of, bytes or whatever they call it, okay? So I go abroad and I have everything switched off, and I'm there for days, sometimes for weeks or a couple of weeks, and there's no internet connection, and I'm fine. right? That's one of the signs that you're not addicted to these devices. If you feel the desire that I better play it, or I have to play it, or want to play it, I must play it, then you're addicted. So ask yourself that question. And for you children, just a couple of hours here and there should be more than enough if you're on those games, okay? The main thing, as I said to you in the talk, is that you need to make sure that your life is not spoiled in this world and in the next world because of this, especially in the next world. The amount of learning, the amount of a'mal, the amount of things that you could have done to build your Jannah, build your Akhirah, is going to be phenomenal. Anyway, Jazakumullah khair.